All right, guys, let's do this. What up? It's JoJo on the radio. This is the iHeartRadio Countdown. Alessia Cara, when's the last time I saw you?
Oh, my gosh. In person, like 5 years ago? 6
No,
years ago?
really?
I feel like it. Or
Dude.
maybe...
Well, wait, whatever it is.
Definitely.
Way too long.
Way too long. I know. I missed you.
I'm about to ask, have you missed me? Because I've missed you.
I absolutely have. I was telling them I was so excited coming in here, like pre-cameras, like their proof. I was like, I'm so excited to see JoJo. You're the best.
I'm told, and I guess you kind of told me as well off mic here, that this last year and a half has been just, I'm assuming, in a studio, working like crazy, a little bit of life. What's been happening the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely writing for sure. That's like taken up majority of my time. And then, trying to sprinkle in life as much as I can in between those moments. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. But I have felt pretty normal. It's actually been good. Like I've managed to balance both, I think, as well as possible. And I think it's been good.
I picture you as a studio rat. And I mean that in the best way possible.
I am a studio rat. I am. I really am. Like that's probably, with the exception of coming on your show, is my favorite part of the process.
It's okay if I'm number 2. It's all right.
Yeah.
Can we talk about an album? Is there what you mean? You're an album kind of girl.
I am an album.
You have
kind of
stories to tell.
I do.
What can you say?
I can say that there will be one. So that's for sure.
That's sort of an exclusive, I guess. Maybe,
yeah.
Sort
well,
of.
what else can I say? I mean, I can't say anything too much. I have people eyeballing me right here, like staring, and I can't give away the full deets. But I will say that, yes, there is an album. It's a whole new era. It feels like the best music that I've ever made. And I'm very, very excited about it. I know that doesn't feel like an exclusive, but
no, it's all Dead Man. I mean, if that's kind of how the album, where it's going, holy moly. I mean, okay. I have another, when you make an album, I was talking to another artist, and they said this thing to me. They said, when you make an album, there's no instruction booklet on how to do it. And it kind of, I'm like, oh my God, maybe there's something to that. And because you're always writing songs, you're always recording songs, but how do you know when the album has begun? Does a song hit you like, oh man, this is the centerpiece? I mean, how do you know, how do you do an album?
It's challenging, I guess, to figure out exactly when, because like usually for me at least, like it starts with just like going in, dipping my toes in, writing, and then somewhere in the middle of it, I would say it starts to become an album, and you start chipping away at it. It's like you get like a big like slab of clay, and you're like, slowly chipping away till it starts to look like a shape, and you're like, okay, now this is what I'm doing. And then about halfway through, then I started figuring out, okay, this is kind of the sonic scope of it. This is sort of lyrically where I want to go. And then it starts to become an album. But at first, I just kind of go in and I just like start writing and seeing what comes out. And
kind of see what happens, huh?
Yeah. And usually it's not that great to begin with.
Well, sometimes those little lumps of clay that don't make the album, they turn into big things somewhere else. Maybe, if not for you, you give it to what? All right, here, Alessia, this is the impossible question, because you're a writer. Favorite lyric you have ever written, whether it be past, present, or upcoming. Don't give out, crucial song titles and all that, but can you answer that?
That is a tough question. I have a few of songs that are not released, so let me try to think of one that is really. Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
It's impossible. I know.
It's literally impossible. Okay, the song "You Let Me Down," I really, really like the lyrics there. In my song "Best Days," I say, "You live and then you die, but the hardest pill to swallow is the meantime." I feel like that's a heavy hitter lyric that I really like.
That's, yeah.
And then in Dead Man, the second verse is like a play on words. I say, "You leave me hanging just because you don't get the picture, no matter how nice I paint it, no matter the way I frame it." So it's like a lot of picture references.
Right.
A little, getting my rap on a little bit. But yeah, those are the ones I can say.
I love that spoken word rap part you have in the song.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry about the impossible question.
No. I'm just going to keep talking forever because there's like I can't even decide. It's so hard.
Alessia, Dead Man, which I'll play later on in the countdown. Is it, and don't say what you can't say, I'm not trying to be Mr. Pry, is it a true story, based on a true story? Is it fiction? What is this thing about?
I think it's definitely based on a true story. I didn't write it during a time where I actually felt this way. It was more hindsight, because this song is one of the later songs that I wrote for the album. And when I had a lot of love songs and songs that felt a little bit more positive and healed, I wanted to kind of go back and tell like the beginning of the story. And I honestly feel like you can't really get to the love without accepting and processing loss and all those, like digging up all those bad emotions. And so I was thinking about the times in my life where I have felt this way. So It's not specifically about something specific. It's just about that feeling, that familiar feeling that I have felt many times before of just like feeling lonely in a relationship and trying to hold on to something that really can't be held anymore, or doesn't want to be held anymore. So yeah, I guess does that answer the question?
Totally.
I guess, yeah. So partly.
Follow up to that in just more general terms. Do you enjoy writing songs that are true, like real stories, or loosely based real story, or do you enjoy writing, like creating like fiction, so to speak? Is there do you have a favorite?
I think my favorite is probably writing from personal experience, because it feels like a little therapy session all in one.
Right.
It's like killing two birds with one stone. But but I have been enjoying like dabbling, especially on my last album, like in like storytelling and finding people's stories, from people in my life and things like that, and trying to write from their perspective. That's also kind of interesting too, like writing from an observer's point of view. But my favorite is definitely writing from my own perspective.
Writing seems so like it would be like exciting yet frustrating, because sometimes you're banging your head to get the idea or something out.
Yeah.
But once you get it out, oh my God, it's the best thing ever, right?
It's the best feeling. Yeah, it's like torturous and then amazing and then euphoric. It's like you're trying to crack this code, and sometimes it's very quick, and then other times you'll just keep going and going and going. And then finally, once you crack it, you're like, yes!
Yeah.
It's the best feeling to like solve that little piece of the puzzle. At least for me, it's like the way I get my dopamine is like solving a puzzle on a song.
Maybe too early to ask this, but I doubt it, because you guys prep way ahead. Are we thinking tour down the road?
Definitely thinking tour. I think it's going to happen for sure. I did not get to tour my last album because of COVID and all that nonsense.
Whole time. Aren't you glad all that's done? I
know. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to be here in person and to not have to worry about all that dark, heavy stuff. But yeah, so I didn't get to do that. So I'm really hoping, and I think it will happen. Yeah, a tour would be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Do you enjoy road life? I know I assume you enjoy being on the stage. That's got to be the rush, the cherry on top of it. But do you enjoy the road life, because it's very regimented? You get up at this time, you're back on the buzz, and do you enjoy all that comes with road life?
I mean, I do enjoy it. I think it is very fun, and there are moments that are, amazing and incredible. But there are like parts of it that, for just the way that I am as a person, I'm a homebody. I get very like overstimulated and stuff. It can be challenging, but I'm very like, oh my God, like sensory overload a lot of the time. So it can be a little challenging to like be away from home and away from your loved ones and kind of like city to city and kind of having to do the whole thing. But I do enjoy it. I think ultimately it is the most rewarding part, because I get to like actually interact with the people who give me my life and have supported me forever. So that's the best part of it, and that's the redeeming part of it.
You ever forget what city you're in? Like, hey, Pittsburgh, and you're in like somewhere else.
All the time. You know what I've really I feel like I've done that before. But the best thing that I appreciate about certain venues, what they do is like they have like this poster. A lot of them will have like these posters right before you get on stage, and it says like, you are in Denver, like as a reminder. And I'm like, I always appreciate those venues that do that, because
God bless them.
Yeah, because it's always so challenging. I'm like, wait, where am I again?
I think my version of that is I don't do many red carpets, but I went to a Bad Boys premiere red carpet like a couple of months, whenever it was, and they had Will Smith walks up. You know who Will Smith is.
Of course.
But there's a bunch of other people that they forget. I don't know who they are. And they're not on the list. I'm like, hey, do you want to talk to so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Oh, no.
But I'll talk to him. Let's go. All right.
How do you ask them about, sorry, now I'm curious. How do you ask them about things? Like, well, how do you get by?
Sometimes I'll say something like, hey, how do I spell your name? Then they're like, K-I-M. I'm like, oh, God.
That's even more. No, but then I seen something like that, and then you say, no, your last name.
Exactly.
But then imagine it's like Jones.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. You and I talked about this a long time ago, and based on your story, I've asked so many artists this, and I've got this, varying opinions. Do you still, when you write a song that's loosely based or based on someone, do you still forewarn them that it's going to come out? Because you said at one point you did.
I did.
I don't know if you still do. Where do you stand on that?
Honestly, that's interesting that you say that, because I feel like I don't do that anymore. I did that like maybe on my last album.
I forget what song it was. It was a while back.
I have done that like pretty much for every album, but I feel like I stopped doing that somewhere because then you lose contact, and then it's awkward to be like, hey, and sometimes the songs don't come out, or you don't write them till like way later in hindsight, like for example, Dead Man, right? So it's like so weird to just go back and, ask or like tell somebody.
It just not even worth the time.
Yeah. So I feel like I don't do that as much anymore. It depends. It depends on, the situation.
So I've had these, it's based on, and I always say,
That's
I
so
talked
funny.
to Alessia, and she said, after talking to all of these artists and you and everything, I think where I stand is if you're going at, let's say it's romantic or friend or whatever, if you're hanging out with an artist,
Mhm.
it's assumed risk. You might end up in a song, good or bad.
That's true. We should have people sign like a waiver. Like, I'm not responsible for any stories that come up after our relationship.
Like if I said something dumb, you should put me in a song and say, that JoJo, he's just dumb, or something like.
But would you want me to tell you?
You know what? It's assumed risk.
That's true. Honestly, you're right. You might be changing my whole perspective on
There
this.
we go. Alessia, dead man.
Yeah.
Oh man, like you said, this is a new era, a new chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, something about this track, Alessia.
You like it?
I don't like love.
Thank you.
What can you say? What else can you say about this song before, or do I just hit the red blinking button and go?
I could talk about it forever. I'm a yapper, so I could just keep going, but I'll make it short and sweet, I guess. I would just say that, yeah, again, it's just about like a love, or that feeling of when you're in a love that is fading and you can see it like in front of you, and it's always a terrible, terrible feeling to see the end of something before it's even over, and that's what the song is about. And it's obviously not literally a dead man. There's no killing. There's no because my fans saw the title, they're like, oh, who are we killing? I'm like, no, we are not killing anybody. It's metaphorical. It's just about, that feeling of where it just feels like the love is dead. Like the person in front of you is like a ghost in front of you, So yeah. And it kind of has that like a little bit of anger, a little bit of sass, and I wanted to kind of display that in the sonics as well, which is why there's a lot of horns, there's a lot of heavy breakbeat, and it's representative of a lot of the music I love to listen to in one. So I thought it'd be a good way to start this new chapter.
And we were talking off air. This is going to sound so good when you go live with it.
Oh yeah, like that whole horn section is going to be so fun. I can't wait to do that.
Dude, 2-part question. What do you consider your best live performance ever? Everything was just about perfect, flawless, or as flawless as, and then the complete flip of that. What do you consider your worst? Everything went absolutely straight to hell, down the drain. It was worth, happens to everybody.
Oh, it definitely does. There's a few. I have like 3 bad ones that I can list, and then I'll start with the good one. The good one is, I would say, I just played Lollapalooza, or a couple years ago. I played Lollapalooza in Latin America, and there was one particular show we did in Argentina where, first of all, the turnout was like more than we could have ever expected. Like, I did not expect that many people to be there, and they knew all the words. Everything went so smoothly. Like, it was such a beautiful show that, like, as soon as we got off stage, the band, the crew, we were all crying. We were all in tears for like how just the rush that we felt and the love that we felt from these people, and just how great the show went. It was like a visceral feeling. So that was definitely the best. I have a few. I mean, which one? How should we rank the worst?
Number 3.
Number three, I would say one where I like had to throw up on stage. So I had to turn over. Yeah, and I threw up on stage. It was in Singapore, which was awful. Another time, number 2 was probably we played Glastonbury in, I want to say 2015 or 2016, and all of our like instruments and equipment like didn't arrive. So we had no equipment, no nothing, and we had to like run backstage and find other bands of like other gigs, like guests that were playing, and like, can we borrow your drums? Can we borrow your guitar? And we had to like piece everything together, and then like the system crashed, and I had to like tell jokes on stage in front of all these people, like, because nothing was working. It was horrible. And then number 1,
I'm surprised you put puking on stage below that.
No, it was pretty bad. Because imagine like standing on stage and the song's playing and then dead air, and there's like thousands of people waiting for you, and you're like trying to stall, and I'm like, ha.
Did you hear the one about the? Okay.
Yeah, and we had no equipment. And then the number one, I would say I was on a morning show, and it was live, and it was like way too early in the morning, and I go to sing the song, and I realized, well, I forgot all the words, and I just stood there. I blanked. Just stood there in silence, and the band just kept going, and I couldn't say words. I was like, I don't know the words to the song. And on live TV, I just stood there doing nothing. I was like, this is horrible. I just like blanked.
But if you can survive all those, that's what makes you, that's why you are who you are, because it happens to everyone. It's how you get back up,
Yeah, for sure.
God, that's awful and hilarious. Though.
Yeah, I know. They're all funny. They're all equally as funny, but also very not good.
Oh my God. I've got a couple of segments here for you and I to discuss the paranormal.
Oh, you love the I know
my
you
God.
love it.
All right. So obviously I'm obsessed with it. Ghost, haunted houses. I've got a podcast called Paranormalish. You know, I'm off the deep end. We know this.
Yes.
You told me a story a while back where there was at home in Toronto, I believe, and someone knocked on your door and then basically vanished. Can you kind of revisit that story real quick?
100%. Yeah, it was around Christmas time. It was a day where, Toronto gets very cold and stormy. It was like a stormy day, snow falling like crazy. And we just got this knock at our door. And that usually doesn't happen like in our neighborhood in the winter. Like no one was leaving their house this day. And so me and my mom were the only ones home. And we looked at each other, we're like, who is that? So I kind of like crept up behind my mom at the door to like protect her, my little 9 or 10-year-old self. And we opened the door and it was like this woman who looked very scared and kind of alarmed. And she was like, hi, I live at, and she, listed a house number, which was on our street. I live at blank. And I just need like $2 for the bus, like a toonie. We have toonies and loonies in Canada. That's like $2 coins. She's like, could I just get a toonie for the bus? And she just looked very scared. And my mom and I were like, okay. And my mom, gave her the toonie, whatever. And she's like, thank you so much. And something about her face just looked very like, I don't know, like something about her just looked different. And it just kind of like sent shivers down our spine. And so we closed the door. Me and my mom looked at each other like that was so weird. And so my mom like opened the curtain to kind of just watch to see where this woman is going. Cause we've never seen her before. Our street is small. She said like a house number that is on our street that we've never seen her before, but it's supposedly very close to us. And, we watched her walking away, and then this literal gust of wind came with all this snow, and she, I swear to you, disappeared. Like we did not see where she went. She literally disappeared. And she looked back at us too. That's the craziest part.
As she was vanishing?
Before she vanished. She literally looked back at us as if she knew we were watching her, and she disappeared. And then my mom and I went to go explore the next day to find where this woman lives. And the house number she listed doesn't exist.
Shut the hell up.
It's like our houses go like 246. She said like 5. So it goes like 246. There is no house number that exists. And then the craziest part is that Christmas that came up was another knock on our door. We opened it. It was a letter that had like a Bible verse or something on it saying like, be kind to others, with the toonie attached to it. And she said like, from the people of blank street address.
That address?
Yeah. And it doesn't exist.
Is that?
I don't know. It was the weirdest story. I know it sounds like some Hallmark movie, weird like Christmas tale, but it's the craziest thing that's ever happened to us to this day.
I was doing some research and before you came in, and I couldn't find anything on ghosts that vanish, knock on your door and vanish. I searched, Canada, I found stories about if a spirit knocks on your door 3 times, don't answer it because bad things will happen. But that doesn't really apply to your thing,
Okay. No, ours was just twice.
That is bizarre.
Isn't it crazy? I'm telling you, she disappeared. I'm not kidding. Like, my mom can attest to this.
Okay.
We till this day, we're like, that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to us.
Holy crap. All right.
Yeah.
Alessia, I want to do this with you.
Okay.
Ontario. That's where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing.
No.
There's a park called McBurney Park, Kingston.
In Kingston. Okay, yes.
All right. This park is also known as Skeleton Park.
Ooh,
You haven't heard about this?
No, I haven't.
Apparently, I guess it was used as a burial ground, and I guess the topsoil blew off, or they weren't buried too deep, but there was a lot of bodies buried there, and sometimes the bones will come through the ground because they're not buried that deep. That's just the physical side of it. The haunted side of it is they see kids playing in the park, and then they just poof, vanish.
Oh my gosh.
One of these days, I would love to come. I've never been to, Canada ever.
No
I would
way.
love. Yeah, crazy, right?
You gotta come.
I would love to come up there and we'll get a crew and we'll set it up.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll go visit this skeleton park and see what happens.
Oh my gosh. If you're there with me, I'll do it because there's no way that I'm going there by myself. I could never do that. I'm whatever you are, I'm the opposite of you. If you are on this end of the spectrum of loving paranormal, I'm on the other end. But I'll do it for the sake of the story, for you.
Okay, we'll do it. You'll never be alone. We'll have a crew with us. I don't want to bring too many people because I don't want 50 people, but we'll have 7, 8, 9, whatever works.
Because we can't scare away the spirits.
It's got to be kind of creepy-ish
yeah,
vibe,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But we'll have I don't know what we have Bibles with us, the whole bit. We can bring some nuns, whatever works. I don't know. All right, Alessia, when you see your fans, when you're out in the wild, as they say, What do they when they come up to you? What do they typically say?
What do they typically say?
Or do they just scream?
They don't scream. I don't get a lot of screamers because I feel like I'm not like a young hot boy. Like I feel like that's where the screamers come when it's like a young hot like boy band situation.
Like, hey, I'm gonna scream for you. You're a young hot boy.
Yeah, they do. I feel like I don't know. I don't get the like, but they're all very level headed and kind and gentle with me. Maybe because I'm so short, they don't want to scare me. But I feel like for the most part, I'm lucky enough to have fans that like really connect lyrically with my songs and with the story, and I think that's just because the people that gravitate towards my music are people who've gone through similar things. So a lot of the time I'll get stories about how they relate to certain lyrics of mine or certain songs of mine, and just tell me like really really beautiful stories. I've heard like all kinds of amazing touching stories from fans that through all walks of life and through the last 10 years that have just really like touched my heart. So that's mainly what I get, which is really sweet.
I'm guessing that's kind of what makes it all, worthwhile. It's getting your story out for starters, it's therapeutic for you, but it's probably what makes this all worthwhile. I'm guessing the fan reaction like that.
For sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like 100%. If there's ever any, sometimes you can get insecure or think like, what's the point of doing this? Or at least I've felt that way. I've gotten in my head a lot of the time, and it's always such a solidifying factor, like when you hear what your music means to people, like exactly why it's important to keep doing it. That is the entire purpose, and they've given me such an identity as a songwriter and as an artist, and you realize that it is a gift that you were given, and it'd be a shame to not share it with the world, even if it's for 5 people or 50 million or whatever. Like I think it's important to share my gift, and they make it worthwhile.
Back to the screamer thing. Do you want some, like, should we put it out there? You want more screamers? Like do you want that? Or?
No, I think I'm okay. They're always, no, I mean, like when during concerts, they do the screaming thing, which is always sweet and fun. And I love it. They bring a lot of great energy, but maybe when I'm on the street, no screaming. That'd be keeping it chill. I'm a small gal. I'm a jumpy girl.
Dead Man is out. Talk about this video. I thought when I heard, the title Dead Man, I thought somebody was going to die in the video.
I know.
Clearly,
a lot of people
do. Maybe you can do a remix later and, but
maybe.
Talk about this video.
So yes, despite the belief of some of the people I've seen a lot of comments like, oh, somebody's dying. I'm like, nobody's dying. Nobody is dying. There won't be no ghosts, no paranormal things, no dying. But yeah, so it's all basically metaphorical. So I feel like, when I was writing the song and I was like, coming up with the concept, I did feel like when that feeling lonely in a relationship and seeing like the demise of a relationship feels like it's dying. It feels like a grief, like a death. And so I wanted to portray that not only in the song, but also in the video. And so, the whole team and I just came up with this concept, and the director, George, who's amazing, came up with a beautiful treatment of just like a bunch of little metaphorical vignettes of like conflict with yourself and with someone else, and kind of like the death of this thing, like a shedding of skin of sorts, So there's a lot of like allusions to death, but none of it is literal. It's all like metaphorical and, more so about the relationship dying and like old patterns dying rather than like a person dying.
Yeah. Do you like shooting videos? Because I find, being, I'm not an actor, but I've done like little things here and there, and it's just on set, it's just the hurry up and wait thing.
Oh my God,
it's the worst.
It is the worst. It is. Honestly, I will say this is probably one of the smoothest videos that I've ever been a part of. Shout out again to George and his team. It went so smoothly. Like it was like very, very minimal hurry up and waits. It was all very smooth and amazing, and we were just go, go, go. And I think just because we had so much to shoot, we just like were on a great schedule. So it actually was very enjoyable and very fun. But even in those sets that take a while, it's always, you always find moments to laugh and just, I mean, I love my team, so we're always just cracking jokes in between and making the time pass.
I need to hang on one of your video sets. Anything I've done is like, we're going to shoot this scene for 30 seconds, then you're going to wait for 9 hours.
Oh, like, I know. It is the worst. I do hate that.
Message, as we wrap this up, message to your fans, the day ones, the new fans. What do you want to say to these people that just love you?
Oh, thank you. So many things that I can say, but just for sake of time and because I could talk for hours about them, I'll just say that, first of all, I'm so excited to be back, and to share with you guys again. It has been like, it felt like a million years being away from you. Every time I'm away from you, it feels like a million years, but thank you for supporting me, for those who have supported me since day one. Thank you for sticking around and growing with me. And for any new people, welcome to the world, to the club. And I hope you enjoy everything that is to come, because I sure have had the best time making it. And I'm so excited to be releasing it now.
All that good stuff. What else do people need to know about Alessia Cara? Alessia Cara.
What else do people need to know? Let's see. I don't know, guys. What do they need to know? I don't know.
You're a good cook? You're a bad cook?
I'm a pretty good cook, I would say. That's definitely one of my
Random, I know, but
my COVID practices. I've been collecting perfumes recently, so I feel like that's a very important, integral part of my life, is that I have been collecting perfumes. I have a dog. She's great. I encountered a ghost when I was 9 with my mom.
That's awesome.
These are all very integral parts of knowing me. So yeah, I don't know. What else? I don't know. What else do you think?
I think to be continued.
Yes, that's a great answer. TBC. ...
So good to see you.
Thank you. So good to see you too. I really have missed you, so I'm so glad to be back.
Arrow in my heart. Fling, right there. Alessia, at the end of every interview, fist bump to make it official. Give me a love.
Yes.